Hey guys, what's up? Dizzy Nuts here. How you guys doing? Today I'm going to show you what's in my camera bag right after this. Now the bag that I have is the Amazon Basics bag. It's nothing fancy. It basically what I like of this bag is that it's a medium-sized type of bag. It's not really big and it's not small, so I can take basically my essentials. And what my essentials consist of, usually my main 3 lens, which is basically obviously my Canon 80D, which is this camera, which you've seen many times. This is my main camera and I guess my only camera. I do have a T5i that I need to fix, but that's on the list to be fixed. The lens that is usually on this 90% of the time is the Sigma lens, which is the 70-50, which I'm sure you've seen many times on my photos. And this is basically what I bought to replace the stock lens that came with the camera. Now of course, if you're looking for something like a wide angle or a fisheye, then that's where you would look at other lenses. And in my case, when we're talking about the ultra wide angle, we're coming up with this one, which I mentioned a ton of times, which is the Tokina ultra wide angle. And this is what really gives that really cool wide effect, similar to what this this device has right now. So this is the Tokina F4. Now this one I'll use a lot of times for night shots and stuff like that, and many of the shots that I take with this lens, to be honest with you, will end up on what is Facebook, because as of one of my videos I've explained that usually the cropping depends on the social media you're going to be posting the photo, because I've seen that in Instagram, if you post tall photos, they usually get more reception as to one that is a wide, and I guess for obvious reason that the wide image is what the phone format is, so tall image is what the phone is, so it takes up more space and looks more impressive than usually a wide shot. Third lens that I usually carry always in my bag is my trusty fisheye, and this one, you guys have seen tons of shots with this one. This is an awesome lens, and this one is basically all manual, and it's from Optica, and basically I got it for probably like 130 something bucks. And it's great. It's 6.5, so besides being fisheye, what I like of it is that it's really far back. Again, it's 6.5 compared to your regular lens, which is 17, so it has that effect of being even farther back, which makes it really cool. So I love this lens. Okay, as for my strap, I have tons of different straps that I use, to be honest with you. For example, I'm using this Optech USA, which I think is the same model that the PhotoPass people use. And it basically has these quick release things on the end that I put on it. And if I look at my camera, if you look at my camera, actually I have a couple of these on different places. Like for example, I have the 2 of them coming off of the side of the camera, and the reason for that is that if I ever tried to do blogging on this camera, I can easily pop out the screen like this and you know, do the blogging like people do, where they. And then I can also take on my camera and take photos at the same time. So again, this was something that I did myself, and I basically put 2 ringers here, and then I have the two attachments here. They both of them are going through the 2 ringers, so it's not only going through one. And then I also have it on the bottom. I have another clip here on the bottom, which then I have a smaller strap that if for any reason I'm holding it on a little Joby tripod or something like that, I can always clip it down, and that way I don't have to worry about the phone falling down. And then I also have it on my backpack. I also have the female connector to this on my backpack, so if I ever wanted to, I can always clip the phone to the side. So that's just, you know, random stuff that I'll do to, you know, try to make my life easier when you're carrying this, that, and the phone at the same time. My trusty ND filters, and I just have this little Altura bag, and I basically have 4 of them. There's one set that I bought that is actually that came with 3 of these, and there's like ND4, 6, and 8, I think it is. I'll put a link on the bottom. So depending on how dark I want to go, this here is a 4, which is a little darker, and this one here is the 8. And then I always have the darkest of the darkest possible, which is this one, which is the ND1000, which this is what I'll use for when it's pure daylight. And this is great because it allows you to get all those nice creamy watery shots, like stuff that I'll show, like for example like this shot. I shot it with that because it's pure daylight and you need a really dark ND filter. Now that is an ND1000. Now when it comes to size, what I always tell people, buy the size that is biggest as your lens, because you can always use something which is called a ring down. And the ring down allows you to actually step down from the size of your biggest lens, in this case 77 like here, down to the size of what your lens is. Like for example, my ND filters are all 77 millimeters, but if I have a smaller lens, like even the stock lens is probably 55, you can then, you know, take these apart and bring it down to the size of your lens, and that way you have one ND filter to use on all your lenses. Another thing I have is actually the fuel rod, which this is awesome. You can find this at any of the parks, and you basically pay $30 for one time, and you can switch this out as many times as you want. And I got it, and it comes with all the connectors and everything. This thing is awesome, and it's awesome. Like again, it's only 30 bucks, and it's in all the resorts, so you can just drop it in there and get a fresh new one all the time. Now another thing that I'll have in my bag is, obviously, if you're shooting long exposures, I have my little shutter release, and this would allow is to actually you know, press for fireworks as well as press and leave it up, and it leaves the button pressed. And if you haven't seen my videos of how to shoot fireworks, I'll put a link on the top. A windscreen for my GoPro here, and it's basically a little windscreen that goes over any type of little microphone. And the reason I have one is because they usually fall off and they get lost and stuff like that. Another thing I have is I have batteries for my camera, and basically this bag has two compartments. So this one's probably used, so freshest batteries are on the bottom, the ones that I've used are on the top. So basically if the battery's been used, I'll put it on the top, and when I get home I know that I need to charge it. And these are generic brand. I don't have really the Canon ones because I think they're too expensive for what they are. So people say they void their warranty, whatever, but I just get them and they work equally as great, sometimes even better. Now when it comes to memory cards, obviously this has its own memory card as well as a camera, but I will have a spare one for the camera. In this case it's a 32 gigabit one, and this will easily give me, you know, I guess like 300 photos, so it's more than enough. So this is for the camera, have a spare one. And then I also have, I actually have two micro SD cards for the camera or the GoPro if needed, for example. And this comes with these little adapters that I can use the memory card inside the you know, inside this attachment, so I can use it either for the GoPro or for the camera. Another really cool thing that I have is actually this, and this is actually to put on the hot shoe of the camera, and you got obviously the cell phone holder on the top. So this is what I'll use sometimes, probably all the time, to stream like illumination and stuff like that. If you've seen my videos on YouTube, you probably see where I got this, and everything looks pretty still, because when you're doing live videos on Instagram, this, you know, you got to try to keep it as less movement as possible. The quality is bad as it is, so this is what I will use. And again, it's just basically a hot shoe with a small little ball head and a attachment for this phone. Now another funny thing that I have in here is actually my arcade card, because I love going to the arcade in some of the resorts. I think most of them that I've gone to actually have, so it's always fun. And this works in all of the arcades of all properties, so I usually put 10 bucks on this and play with it, which is pretty cool. I know, pretty cheesy. This is actually a remote shutter release, literally remote wireless, so there's no connection between the two of them. And it's okay, it works sometime. This is Viltar, I brought it off of Amazon. I think it's obviously a generic brand. And what this does is that you set this up on the hot shoe on top of the camera, you plug it into your shutter release, and this I put around my wrist like this. And basically with I would lift up the camera, you know, all the way up the top, and you know, and try to make sure it doesn't fall, and then from over here I'll take the picture, which is how I get those shots looking downwards, which everybody asks about. I got two other things that I got in my bag, and one is this, which is basically what you just saw, and I use this sometimes for the GoPro. So I could put my GoPro through it, and I can have the GoPro here, and I can basically record, and then I can drop it, and with my camera that will be on the strap, I can take photos, and that way I'm not flipping around stuff all the time. So actually a rubber band, and the rubber band, the reason I had this for is that if for any reason I need to charge the GoPro and I'm running around and I ran out of battery, I could put the rubber band like this. I basically have it that I could then, you know, charge my GoPro while I'm recording, and it stays there. It doesn't need to be tight, but you can see it holds on pretty good. I have is actually these sunglasses, which is pretty funny, because these I'll put on when sometimes I'm doing videos. And if you've seen any of Casey Neistat's videos, what he does with these is it's basically you tune out everybody around you. Like for example, right now I could be looking to the left and you don't notice it, or I could be looking to the right, I could be looking upwards, downward. And it's great for vlogging because even though as well as you can be seeing yourself on the camera, like for example, if I've been using the Canon AED to do blogging, which I don't do anymore, but this is good because if there's people walking in the back part, like I like to shoot a lot from the parks. This is cool, but I like to give the people the whole sense of the Disney vibe and being inside the parks. So with this, I sort of like tune them out, and I just focus that I'm looking here, and I can look at them, and they don't know that I'm looking at them because they're still thinking that I'm looking here at the camera. Okay, so let's talk about tripods. I have tons of them, and when I mean tons of them, I have all types of shapes and sizes here with me. And to be honest, it all depends the mood and what I'm going to be shooting or what I want to try to shoot, which is when I'll grab the tripod that I need to grab. Now I have a bunch of them here at my home, as well as I have a bunch in the car. If I'm just going to be doing some general stuff, which I'm not going to be doing long exposures, many times I'll take this one with me, which is the Joby one. You've probably seen this. So this is the 5K, and basically, this one wraps around poles and stuff like that. Good thing of these things is that they're really lightweight, and you can basically put them on all types of places where you want to shoot photos, and and then I got a ball head for it, and basically the ball head right off of Amazon, so you can actually tighten it in and then micro adjust where you want to shoot the stuff on the what you want to take photos with. And this is great. I do find that they just become all jellyish after a while, so after a certain amount of time I'll just I'll end up getting a new one, or I'll probably bring a different tripod. So that's this one. Next one up is actually my Me Photo tripod, which this probably goes with me every time I'm going to do night shots or long exposures. And this is basically the ROADTRIP, and it's a great tripod, very sturdy, really easy to use. Never failed me once, except the ball head that locked up on me. So I wasn't really too happy about that, and I got a bunch of if and ands and all this other stuff when I tried contacting support. So I just ripped off the ball head and got one off of Amazon and put it on, and it worked the same. Okay, and finally the last tripod I have this one's actually in my car, and I'll put it if I need something that I'm going to walk around the park, but I don't want to carry the big Me Photo tripod. And this one I'll bring many times if it's like day stuff only, because it's not a Joby, so it doesn't flex on the ends like the other one, but it is a little tripod that extends pretty well. It's obviously you won't be able to do stuff like shoot across the fences and stuff like that, but if you look at the size of this thing, and this I'll use many times for when doing photos of the pavilions, because with the pavilions I love shooting upwards in an angle because they make it look bigger than what it really is instead of being head on. So this is what I'll usually bring with me for those types of shots, if I know I'm not shooting fireworks, because if I'm shooting fireworks, this is not going to work unless I put it on top of a little trash can. And usually if you're going to be shooting on top of a trash can, you may not be getting the best angle possible. So, and again, this whole locking system here on the top is the same for all the tripods I have, so I don't need to take anything off of the camera. I could put the camera on this one, I could put the GoPro here, I could take the GoPro, put it on top of the other one, so it's everything's interchangeable, which I like. Okay, and then another one when we're talking about tripods is this one, which is my Manfrotto PIXI. I think it's called PIXI, and this is great, and this is probably the one that I have the most inside my bag. It's probably the sturdiest one as well. But the cool thing is that you can press here and you can move the ball head, and once you let it go, it literally locks. And this actually holds the Canon AED with my heaviest lens with no problems whatsoever. But just to put something like a quick and dirty right on top of a trash can or something like that, this is awesome. And what I love with this one also, this is in my bag all the time, because I actually can take the Arca plate attachment off of it, and I put my GoPro on it and I walk around. So I have one tripod for the two things, which is really cool. And it's great, it feels sturdy, and again, the ball head in the middle is metal, so it'll hold up the stuff with no problems whatsoever. That's it, guys. That's what I have in my camera bag. And again, depending on where I'm going is depending what I'll take. Like for example, if I'm going to be doing fireworks shots and doing long exposures at night or closing a park, I'll always take my Me Photo, which is the big tripod. If I'm going to be doing something during the day and something that's just you know, like regular stuff, like maybe shooting off of a trash can or stuff like that, I'll take this one, or I'll take the Joby. Those would be the two that I take. Now, if this is the first time watching my videos, my name is Disney Nuts, and I do theme park photography, for example, Disney, Universal, and hopefully some of the other ones coming soon. So if you like what you saw and you want to see more, feel free to hit that subscribe button and the bell to get notified. Until then, guys, stay awesome. See ya.